What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a breakdown of everything you need to know regarding Destiny 2 this week. That includes the weekly reset, of course, as well as Bungie's live reveals for Edge of Fate. So this week Bungie have said they'll go into a bit more detail about actual new content. I'll be interested to see that. There is of course the developer live stream, and then we've got the final couple of resets inside of the game to end the final shape year, which of course is going to be interesting. So there's final chance rewards. Last opportunities to pick up items like the Lotus Eater, which of course is worth knowing about. On top of that, Bungie are introducing the new Engram for Rite of the Nine with a bunch of cosmetics and stuff. Plus there are boosts for the drop rates, and we have other updates from Bungie to round up in this video. So if you guys find this one useful, be sure to get subscribed and I can keep you posted with all the things related to Edge of Fate coming up in a couple of weeks. But otherwise, now let's get into it. And so before we talk about the gameplay stuff for the week, Bungie did say we can tune into the next developer live stream this week. And of course the last stream was about Armor 3.0, gear tiers and sandbox, but they say we'll talk a bit more about Kepler and what's coming in Edge of Fate. So on Tuesday, July 1st at 10 AM Pacific, we're planning to give a glimpse of the campaign, crank up the difficulty with the new world tier system, and let you see how this and all of the other new sandbox changes come together. On top of that, they'll talk about power, progression, the portal, guardian ranks, quality of life changes, and more. So, of course, it will be an important moment if Bungie do decide to go into a bit more detail about actual Edge of Fate content, as that's one of the areas where they've been relatively quiet. Fingers crossed for a few positives on that front, and once again, there will be an emblem that we can pick up if we watch this on Bungie's Twitch channel for at least 15 minutes with a Bungie account linked. So I'll link details about that in the description box, and let us know if you'll be tuning in for that next developer live stream. Otherwise, when it comes to Rite of the Nine this week, we will see the continuation of reward buffs available for the event. So the featured dungeon this week should be Ghosts of the Deep. That means there'll be additional drop chances from killing enemies and final boss completions to get both currency and weapons. And the Emissary will continue to offer a handful of exotics for players who are catching up ahead of Edge of Fate. There were a couple that were in the store last week, but you should have a couple more with this week's reset. And starting this week, players will also be able to purchase nonary engrams using 350 nonary manifolds. For the engram that contains a whole bunch of different Eververse cosmetics from previous years, including things like Crimson Days items, the Galahorn themed skimmer, and a bunch of other stuff. And Bungie said players will be awarded an additional nonary engram each day that they sign in, starting July 8th. But otherwise, we will start to be able to purchase them this week. So let us know if you'll be diving into Rite of the Nine, and I'll keep you posted when that engram becomes available at the weekly reset. Otherwise, as we approach Edge of Fate, keep in mind that Bungie will probably put Sundered Doctrine into a rotation instead of it being available every single week. So if you do want to farm for any of the weapons or indeed the exotic, we've got the last couple of weeks where it will be easily accessible, I guess, because we're not sure exactly how these will feature into playlists in Edge of Fate. So keep that one in mind. If you're heading into Trials this week though, it will be back on Friday, and we'll have Sheora's Wrath Adept for the very final time. So, of course, the Adept weapons are being changed up for the tiered system, so that means this will be the final week where we can pick up Sheora's Wrath in its current form, just in case you do want to add it to collections. The same will apply for the Nightfall this week, where Lotus Eater will see its final time actually featured. This will be one of the Nightfall weapons that's been featured the least, probably, before being changed. Again, Lotus Eater will move into the tier system when Bungie finally bring it back. We're not sure if it'll be available immediately with Edge of Fate or a little bit later on, but the Nightfall this week is hyping it current, and if you want to go after a better roll on Lotus Eater, this will be the final chance to do it. Otherwise, for the featured raids this week, firstly, we'll have Garden of Salvation. Keep in mind when raids are featured that they are totally farmable with no loot lockouts, so we can farm for the legendaries in Garden. Then over in the Legends tab, Kingsfall will be featured as well, so if you want to get legendary loot or Touch of Malice, it's going to be a very good time to jump in. Otherwise, Grasp of Avarice should also be featured this week in the Cosmodrome if you want to grab any rewards from there. And on Europa, we'll be able to say the same for Vesper's Host according to the rotation. So Icebreaker will also be farmable this week. I believe the drop for that is now fixed. So a good opportunity to try and grab it before Edge of Fate if you're still missing out on it. And of course, repeat boss clears will have a chance to get the weapon dropped. For the exotic mission though this week that'll be featured, it'll be Operation Seraph Shield right here in the Legends tab, where we can get Revision 0 and all of its upgrades. For original Dares of Eternity though, on top of the core loot drops, this week we can get Scatterhorn and Lightkin armor sets dropped as additional random drops, as well as a bunch of weapons from Season of the Splicer and a couple of random world drops from Forsaken. Otherwise, on Neptune, we will start with the Lost Sector for this week, and on Tuesday, we'll have Thrilladrome on Neomuna available. Then for July 2nd, it'll move over to the Broken Deep. The 3rd of July will be the Blooming Deep, and then we'll get Bunker E15 on 4th of July, Perdition on July 5th, Vel's Labyrinth for the 6th, and finally, Exodus Garden 2A will be featured on July 7th. And of course, solo clears have a chance to drop exotic engrams, plus chances at any weapons from the world pool when we clear them. Final mention for those completing Ascendant challenges, this week it will be Shattered Ruins, which can be found via the Spine of Keres, so not too difficult to get to, but if you want the location, I'll run that at the end of the video. And so for the moment guys, that is what we have to round up for this week's reset. It'll be interesting to see what Bungie talk about in the reveal, especially regarding Edge of Fate content and Kepler, so fingers crossed for that one, and I'll keep you posted as always. If you've enjoyed this video, a rating below very much helps me on the channel. Once again, get subscribed and I'll keep you posted with more Destiny content. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.